quick broadcast of Jerusalem's Gate. We just got a quick flash for you. Now the war is getting heated up in Ukraine, as we all know. Now Russia just sent a letter to the U.S. stating that to stop sending arms to Ukraine because Putin knows how effective the arms are from the West against their infantry, tanks, and their armament. It's wreaking havoc. Putin's claimed tanks are just going up in flames. The letter was stating that to cease from doing that, or it will be open target. In other words, Russia will be apt to attack any U.S. and NATO plane or ship coming in to reinforce Ukraine's military assets. It's the military equipment that the West has been supplying that's been so effective in defeating or pushing back the Russian invasion. Now, here's the problem is, if in fact that the Russia attacks a NATO or U.S. plane, that can open up a can of worms. Putin, his whole career is at stake here. His whole career is at stake. All the cards on the table on Ukraine, I believe. And the weapons that we've been sending them sunk, as you can see. Ukrainians sunk a Russia's cruiser with the new missiles. Their flagship ship, their proud ship that they tote so much about, is at the bottom of the sea now, due to the weapons that we supply to the West. Now, is it possible, ladies and gentlemen, that as Newsweek reports, Zelensky warns Russia may use nukes after the CIA says Putin desperate to win? Will Putin use tactical low-grade nukes in the battlefield? I think, be it that Putin said he was promised by NATO that they wouldn't expand close to him, NATO nations are surrounding the whole eastern flank of Russia. Now, there is a battle brewing in the east. They're rearming it, they're resupplying, and they're going in a different direction. And they just hired appointed a new commander-in-chief, the same commander that was in command in Syria, that was so effective in Syria. Now, regardless of what people says, my personal belief is that the United States and the West is at war with Russia by proxy, being Ukraine. Putin wrote extensively in essays about the fall of USSR, how it was one of the greatest, one of the worst, I should say, catastrophes in human history. Now, Putin's future is at stake here. And if he's backed against the wall, and if NATO keeps, and the United States keeps sending him weapons, I see him possibly targeting U.S. aircrafts and ships and using low-grade nuclear weapons if, in fact, his back is against the wall and he has no option. Putin's once claimed to be one of the most mightiest army in the world is being defeated by a small, not armed a lot, but are armed by U.S. and Western countries. And the letter that was sent to the United States government claiming that Russia wants the U.S. and NATO to stop fueling the fire by sending more and more high-tech weapons to Ukraine. So it's exactly what the Bible says, wars and rumors of wars. I believe Putin would, if his back is against the wall, use tactical low-grade nukes. I really do. That's my own personal opinion of. You know, be it that NATO said they wouldn't expand, they expanded all the way around his eastern flank. And so I believe Putin got all his cards in on this. And I think that he's not stopping at nothing. He's going to do what it takes to win. even if it takes going to war with the U.S. and NATO. And that would be a catastrophe. But anyway, I just wanted to give you that update. The war is the next battle in the Donbass region. It could determine the outcome of the war. So all eyes are glued to the TV and to the computer to see that unfold. But what I do have, I have a video from Arirang News, all credit goes to them, about citizens leaving the eastern part and preparing for this, what perhaps will be the biggest battle since World War II. With that being said, you're watching and listening to another broadcast of Jerusalem's Gate. Just wanted to give you this quick, brief update flash. Here comes the video.
Turning our attention to the crisis in Ukraine now, it's been more than 50 days since Russia's invasion began. People in the eastern region are trying to escape. Meanwhile, authorities are seeking more support from the U.S. Lee Hyun has the latest.
Some cities in eastern Ukraine are suffering from fierce confrontations. A Ukrainian deputy minister said on Friday that 2,864 civilians had been evacuated from conflict areas in the eastern regions of Ukraine, including some 360 people from the devastated port city of Mariupol who used their own transport to escape. Earlier, the Kharkiv Oblast prosecutor's office said that 7 civilians have been killed and 27 injured by Russian soldiers while attempting to escape the village by bus through a safe corridor. The capital city of Ukraine is also seeing numerous victims after a massive attack by Russia. More than 900 civilian bodies have been discovered in the region surrounding the Ukrainian capital Kyiv after the withdrawal of Russian troops. The head of Kyiv's regional police force on Friday said that 95% of the bodies had died from gunshot wounds and were abandoned on the streets or temporarily buried. He added that Bucha saw the largest number of victims.
I also want to say that Bucha has the most significant number of victims. This suggests that the occupiers, the units that operated in Bucha, were the most brutal. The most victims were found in Bucha, where there are more than 350 corpses.
On top of this, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky requested U.S. President Joe Biden to designate Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism. Citing an anonymous local insider, The Washington Post reported on Friday that Zelensky made this appeal during a recent phone call, apparently on Wednesday. Biden reportedly did not pledge specific actions during the call, but said he was willing to consider a range of proposals to put greater pressure on Moscow. Meanwhile, the U.S. official said on Friday that Russia's warship Moskva was hit by 2 Ukrainian missiles before it sank, backing Kyiv's account of what happened to Russia's Black Sea flagship. Earlier, Russia had claimed that a fire caused the ammunition on board to explode, while Ukraine claimed it sank the ship during Neptune anti-ship missiles. A spokeswoman for the Ukrainian military said on the same day that this strike hit not only Russia's ship, but also Russia's imperial ambition. Lee Hyun, Arirang News.